Welcome to the Cheating Wife Stories channel. Listening to one of my wealth management clients spout on about his wife and their pending divorce wasn't the first time I've heard these stories. No, when you handle the financial plans for the wealthy, you eventually learn to put in contingencies to the extent possible. It depends on which state you live in. Divorce laws differ. But generally things will be 50-50 no matter what. You know, I don't really care about whether or not you think it's fair. Few things in life are fair, and I've come to realize that most of the time you've got to learn to accept things and then roll with it. I'm Alex, and I've been through enough market ups and downs to know that behavior is the greatest indicator of success in the market. Most people buy late and sell too soon. Yes, you have to be decisive, but at the right times. Now there are certain so-called black swan events that require immediate action, like the mortgage meltdown in 2009. Get out quick, save what you can in order to fight for another day. So listening to this guy complain about his wife's infidelity and how long it had gone on was trying my patience, but I make almost 2% on his assets under management, so I guess I have to sit and try to appear sympathetic. But in my opinion, well, you may think I'm a little extreme here, but to me an unfaithful spouse is a black swan event. Get out quickly, save what you can in order to fight for another day, another future. Sometimes I'm required to sit in divorce depositions. The soon-to-be ex-wife will say things like, "I love my husband, I really do. I have a good life and a great home. My husband is a great father and provider, and he loves me and the children. He spends all the time he can with us," in an effort to try and delay or stop the divorce. Why? Because they got caught, and they realized they just killed the golden goose. Do any of these unfaithful spouses ever say that they are in love with their husbands? No, they don't. They lament only because of the consequences, not the act of betrayal. They miss the lifestyle that they had before, but not the act. There are exceptions, of course, but they are few and far between. When I have a new couple in my office to start financial planning, and I present the potential negatives in the future, I'll hear a man say, "Not my wife. What we have is special." I want to scream, "Yes, your wife, you poor fellow." These are the men who will not be decisive and act promptly. Instead, they wallow. As I sit and listen to my client drone on, I reach behind me into my bureau and bring out a couple of glasses and my bottle of Chateau Reserve single-barrel whiskey. I might as well enjoy something while pretending to be this guy's therapist. But as this guy drones on and I try to appear interested, my mind is drifting to thoughts about my 20-year marriage to Monica. We're okay financially. The kids are out of the house in college, and we live a little more than modestly in a good neighborhood. Our social life is okay, and we have a nice set of friends. I've always felt a part of our relationship was a little unbalanced. I'm pretty disciplined, picking up my clothes, hanging them up, grocery shopping at times, maintaining the yard and cars. Plus, I worked hard to build up my client base, so Monica hasn't had to work. It's not being stuck up to say that I think I'm a little better than most guys in the way they treat their wives. Plus, I keep myself in decent shape. It's not like I'm unattractive or unkempt. Admittedly, though, my job can be pretty stressful at times. The market gyrations on any given day can result in panic calls from my client base. Screamers, worriers, those who think they know more about the market than I do. Some even make demands that when I execute the trade and they lose, they deny that's what they told me to do. Thank goodness for recorded phone lines. So when I come home some days I need some stress relief, and it's embarrassing to admit this, but our intimate life has become boring. Yeah, I'm a guy. I need intimacy. Sometimes it's for the release, but a lot of times it's to feel that someone really cares about me. It's the emotional side of intimacy, the closeness, vulnerability in a relationship. What's concerning to me is that the toys, long weekends, and stylish underthings, none of these attempts to up our game have worked. It's as if Monica's emotionally checked out. Without meaning to be demeaning to homemakers, if you have a responsible husband who cleans up after himself and no kids to take care of, There isn't that much to do on a daily basis in the home. Perhaps laundry once a week, vacuuming and dusting weekly. I do the yard and home maintenance, even some cooking and shopping. So after that, it's basically cooking some meals when we're not going out. Why is that so hard? Is it work? Routine? But I do work and routine things every single day at work too, and some of those things aren't very interesting or fun. Sometimes even not fun at all. So what is so hard about being intimate with your husband now and then? Even if you don't want to, women know how to get it done quickly with us. In fact, many women do that for compensation several times a night and don't need to be emotionally involved. Men are uncomplicated. That last statement probably upsets a lot of women. Yeah, I get it. It seems offensive to believe that a woman must provide intimate favors to her husband, as if it's a duty. Some think that to be old-fashioned. But let me ask this. At what point in the marriage contract, in the marriage vows, did it say the wife can hang out at home with little to do while the man has to really work hard to provide? What happened to being partners? Looking out for each other? Having that emotional bond? I'm referred to as the man of the house. But sometimes I wonder if my man card is a little faded. And for me, Alex, that is a very unpleasant situation. It's not my personality. I would have thought Monica would know this after all these years. I did a great job with the kids and in the home, and felt appreciated for many years. Now I think I'm being taken for granted. So Monica has a lot of free time to spend with her friends, working out, meeting for brunch or lunch, playing card games, taking side trips with the girls, and enjoying her usual girls' nights out on Saturdays. I'm not unreasonable. I can understand hanging out with the girls. What I didn't like was that they would pick Saturdays when I thought that should be the night for couples to enjoy. But it had become a kind of tradition, and to interfere with a bunch of married women who would oppose me as a non-starter. How many of you guys would want to pick that fight? My attention is suddenly brought back to my client with something he said. Leaning forward, I asked him to repeat it. I said not having to worry about putting a roof over your head and other similar struggles of living gives someone plenty of time to consider an affair. Idle hands are the devil's playground. Do you think that's why she was unfaithful? I asked. He responded, I'd given this a lot of thought. I gotta say, I don't get the notion of a stay-at-home wife or husband. I get taking care of children. But when there aren't any, my wife has to be contributing more than upping the electric bill every month. I think when partners have skin in the game, they behave much differently than when they have everything given to them, especially if it's based mostly on appearance and intimacy. How do you think that would have changed things for you? Looking back on all this, I realize work poses other challenges, but at least she's earning, which leaves less of an obligation to provide should a split happen. I would have been happy with a working wife. I'd be happy with the money, happy to split the chores, happy to be an equal partner. I don't want an inanimate substitute for a wife. That's what a girlfriend is for. I sat back and dwelled on what he just said. What if you're not getting any substitute, if you know what I mean? Yeah, that can happen. But at least she'd be earning her way financially, and have a better reason for not engaging in extramarital intimacy. He chuckled. Sometimes, regardless of how good a job I do with an investment portfolio, the thing that keeps my clients loyal is my ability to listen. People need to be heard, and even if the conversation isn't about investments, my clients appreciate me listening to their issues. This is why I have so many good clients. If I'm such a good listener, then why is my marriage lacking an emotional connection? I can add things up, and a lot of them come from my side, and should begin to add up to something. But no, it seems like things are not adding up. Why? Because it takes two people, and Monica just hasn't been contributing to the emotional connection. Monte Carlo analysis in investments is taking a set of variables and running them repeatedly through different economic scenarios to see how they would perform. It's a form of a stress test of probabilities. Having nothing to do this Saturday evening while Monica and the girls are going out, I sat down and listed the variables in our marriage and decided to run them through different scenarios. Variables: husband, wife, communication, intimacy, children, money, social life, friends, emotional needs, time together, respect, fidelity, love, understanding, trust, support, forgiveness, responsibility, patience. Scenarios: no kids at home, future grandchildren, one income, two incomes, job loss, retirement, financial loss, divorce, aging parents, moving homes or states, open marriage, affairs, disability, death in family, major illness. When you start to match these variables against the scenarios, the one that seems to be lacking in my marriage was communication. It seemed one way, like I was taken for granted. Try matching up communication and being taken for granted with the scenarios that would fit, and what do you come up with? Scenarios involving intimacy, divorce, affairs, open marriage. This was disconcerting. What came to mind are those client portfolios where things are going well and everyone is comfortable, and there is no regular rebalancing of a portfolio. Then when downturns hit, you look back and say, we should have adjusted for this or that earlier. Was I too comfortable with the current situation in my marriage? Was I ignoring things I should be rebalancing? Have I been too compliant, soft, easy, accommodating, predictable? Have I spoiled Monica? And is she too self-centered or immature to respond with love and respect? I almost get the feeling that rather than having gratitude for what I do, she has contempt. Could it be that things are so good for her that it makes her life boring, and she's become complacent? Light bulbs suddenly lit up in my head. Girls' night out. Saturdays, instead of being with me. And I'm so used to it, I don't ask her about her night. Who was there, what they talked about, where they went, how her friends are doing. So what happens then if she feels complacent and wants some excitement? Could it be possible she'd get it from another man's charm? These thoughts remained in my head late into the night while I waited for Monica to get home. Eventually I went to bed, sort of looking forward to my typical Sunday routines on the cars and yard. Sunday morning I woke up and came down to a fresh pot of coffee and a humming wife. That was unusual, as I'm typically the first person up to make coffee. Monica certainly isn't a morning person. Thanks for making coffee, babe. Any reason why you're up early? I asked. Just thought I'd get a good start to the day, honey, she said as she smiled warmly. So where did you girls go this time? Without hesitation, she said, we tried that new club in the downtown area near the industrial district. It was okay, but for a bunch of us older ladies, we didn't really fit in. Maybe we can go there sometime. Is there dancing? Yeah, there's dancing, but I don't think you'd like the place. We'll probably go somewhere else next week. I went out and vacuumed the cars and washed them in the driveway, gassed them up, then spent some time working on the yard. That week I noticed Monica seemed to be daydreaming, or at least her thoughts seemed distant. I asked her about it, and she snapped alert and gave me some quick answers. But she seemed happier throughout the week, which was pleasant to be around. That Saturday I asked which club the girls' night out was scheduled for, and she said the girls once again wanted to go to the same one as last week. I don't really want to go there, but majority rules. Sunday I got up, had coffee, and went out to do my usual car cleaning. I pulled out the vacuum and cleaned out the interior, then pulled out the buckets and hose, and was going to wash and wax Monica's car. Interestingly, I found acorns in the windshield wiper cowl. Lots of acorns. Automatically I glanced up and around for some reason, but neither we nor our neighbors have any trees on our property. And it wasn't just a few acorns. There were hundreds. What the heck? This was curious. I pulled out my phone, and in my inquisitive AI app I asked, why are there so many acorns? The answer was that this was a mast year, a boom cycle where a single tree can drop as many as 10,000 acorns. Leaning against the car, I wondered where she had been the last few days. She was at that new club in the downtown area last night. But downtown there are no mature trees. Instead, they're more like the modest trees they plant along the busy streets just for some greenery, and none of them are oak trees. Oak trees. You know where there's a lot of oak trees. That old well-established subdivision of old-style homes, some pretty large, Maple Grove. I have several well-heeled clients who live over there. I got another bucket and scraped the acorns into it. While washing the car, my mind was working in the background. My thoughts continued to swirl around acorns, oak trees, a happy wife, and girls' night out. Things were not adding up, or were they? Back in the house, Monica was watching some home improvement show. I undressed in the mudroom/laundry room right off the garage and dropped my soiled clothes in the dirty clothes basket. Just before I was going to go upstairs for a shower, I stopped, turned around, and looked at the laundry basket. No, I thought. It wouldn't be, would it? I couldn't believe I was going to look through the laundry basket for her undergarments. Looking back toward the family room, I could hear the TV. Closing the door to the laundry room, I started looking through the dirty clothes, figuring her undergarments from last night would be at the top. Interestingly, they weren't. So I dumped the basket upside down. Guess what I found at the bottom of the basket? Guys, it's embarrassing to admit I looked for my wife's undergarments, much less look at them. And then, well, smell them. But listen to me. I know her scent, and I knew there was another scent. I grabbed a plastic bag to store them, hid it in the garage, then cleaned up the laundry room. Walking past Monica, I went upstairs, showered, and told her I was going out with the guys to watch a game at the bar. It was just me and my thoughts. A few beers and a burger. I realized I didn't know if the acorns were there Friday night, so next week I'd check. But it still doesn't excuse what I found in the laundry. What I needed was some time to put things in place. This was a black swan event. There was no way I was going to back down. I had to be decisive and move forward. Infidelity was a full-stop event. None of this, she was a good wife all those years, or she was a good mother. Nothing she did in her betrayal should call for being fair in the split. I ordered another beer and a shot. Why? Because I realized she was making me feel humiliated. Yes, I felt humiliated, but I could not tolerate it. To me, you take immediate action to cut out the infected part of the marriage. I picked up my phone and called my client and asked for his attorney's name. I also called my brokerage manager and asked to meet first thing in the morning. He could tell something was wrong and suggested I come over to his home for a drink and talk. Hard as it is to tell anyone that you've been humiliated by infidelity, it was important for him to help me with my commissions and renewals. From Monday on, I wanted any commissions and renewals to be held by the firm and not paid out. I'd still work, but I wanted everything minimized in my bank account and payroll. Meeting with the attorney told me everything I already knew. A 50-50 split of assets. It sucks, I know, and you readers will tell me I gave in or gave up. Think what you want. But in my state, that's how it's gonna be. I organized all my account paperwork and over the next few weeks made strategic divestments and split them into 2 accounts. At home, things didn't change much. Things had become routine and expected, and with the lack of intimacy and communication, it made it somewhat easier to keep my rage in check. So over the next 4 weeks, I was able to get a number of things in place for the divorce that was certain to happen, including testing of the undergarments. And there was a difference between Friday and Sunday. Acorns showing up every Sunday morning. With everything in place, on Sunday morning I woke up early and got breakfast ready. It would be memorable. Monica got up and came down for a cup of coffee while I was cooking up some scrambled eggs. She sat at the table sipping her hot coffee, looking pretty disheveled. "Here, babe, got you some scrambled eggs," I said as I pushed a plate in front of her. I opened the pan and dumped the eggs on her plate. Monica looked at the plate, squinting at it for a few moments. I leaned against the kitchen counter, frowning at her. She continued to look down at the eggs and acorns. Surprisingly, she played it cool. "Thanks, honey. I guess I haven't tried this combination before," she said as she began eating the eggs while pushing the acorns to the side, glancing up at me. I let the silence fill the room. Stepping away for a moment, I went into the laundry room and brought a bag into the kitchen and threw it on the table in front of her. She didn't say anything, but she did look up at me. My face betrayed my feelings, which is why she probably wasn't saying anything. "Dump the bag out," I commanded. She obeyed, and out fell 5 different sets of undergarments. "Smell the fabric. Now," I screamed. Monica jumped at my yelling, but just sat there looking at the table. She knew that I knew. At this point, I couldn't hold back. It was time to release the rage. "Why? What on earth is wrong with you? Who on earth do you think you are? Are you a promiscuous woman? Is that what I married? An unfaithful person? Why would you cheat on me, on us? Have you lost your mind, you foolish woman?" I continued screaming at her. "Are you happy that you got what you wanted? No more boring husband and all the intimacy you can manage. You won't be bored anymore, because now you'll get to go out daily and meet new and different unpleasant individuals." While pausing to catch my breath, unbelievably, this foolish woman thought of the most inappropriate thing to say at the most inappropriate time. She squeaked out, "It's over." Enraging, outlandish, infuriating. What on earth does she think that makes a difference now? Now, words were flying out of my mouth as I screamed. "How do I know it's over? Am I supposed to trust you now? I'm a financial planner. Tell me, am I supposed to reinvest in this marriage? Heck, when we made our vows, that was supposed to be a guarantee. Now am I supposed to say past results are no guarantee of future returns?" That shut her up. At this point, I decided to leave this alone. She knew me well enough that the marriage was over. I expected that at some point she'd make a play to stay together. But now all I did was take care of myself. Screw taking care of her car, gassing it up. I did everything for myself that I needed to do. I wouldn't even eat anything she cooked. She got nervous when I interviewed a realtor about selling the house. When we did happen to talk, any conversation between us was only what was necessary, purely factual. No warmth, compassion, or tenderness. For me, the marriage was done. Stick a fork in it. My attitude around the home sucked. We both were walking on eggshells, but I seemed to always be fuming. It was probably risky and foolish and ultimately irrelevant, but I asked her, "Who was this guy, and where did you meet him?" Clearly, Monica did not want to answer the question, but I believe she hoped that by communicating and coming clean it might loosen up things between us. Frankly, it could only help. Not answering would have just been another nail in the coffin. "His name was Brandon, and I met him at that new club in the downtown area," she said. "He was charming, and he got to me at the right time." "What do you mean, at the right time, Monica? What does that mean?" "I'm older, I know I'm aging." I felt bored. Plus, the girls would always put down their husbands when we got together, like a form of group therapy where we blew off steam. So getting hit on was different. "That's so foolish, Monica." "Yeah, you're aging. It means you're also more experienced in life. You should have known that all he saw was a hot, attractive woman who, regardless of how you looked, would have taken advantage of you, because you were so willing. So were your encounters over at Maple Grove." "You're right, Alex. I should have known." And yes, his grandparents live in Maple Grove. Eventually, it came time to have that talk with her. I've been trying to process the grief over the loss of the relationship we had. Even if I forgive you, even if you stop being unfaithful, our relationship is forever changed. She started to tear up. Over the past few weeks, she began to realize all the things I used to do for her. She said, "I was hoping that in time you could forgive me, and we could start over." Well, there it was. Finally, she said it. I don't see it that way. How will I ever know you aren't in contact with your intimate companion? She winced at the phrase. I'm not. I ended it. You know, I've given a lot of thought to forgiving you, trying to get back to what I thought we had. Maybe I wasn't enough, but whatever the reasons you cheated are, it's all on you. I don't know why you did it, but no matter what I've done, it didn't justify you going out on me. No, it wasn't you. You're right. It's all on me. Yeah. Well, thanks for admitting what is so obvious. Here's the trouble with forgiveness. If I forgive you, it makes me feel as if I'd accept your affair as acceptable, as if it were okay. And while you'll always have wonderful memories of intimate moments and the cheerful hum of morning coffee in that post-intimacy glow, I'll hear that humming and think you're ruminating on the happiness you found in another man's arms. I continued, all this took me out of being in charge of myself. Instead, you were in charge of me and my choices. That's why it's called being humiliated. No, babe. You're not that. Not at all. You're a good man. This is my fault. Please don't think that way. Unfortunately, it's now a fact. And I'm going to regain control of myself, and only myself. You'll be free to do whatever you want. I looked at Monica and raised an eyebrow. She knew what that meant. Alex, please don't. Please give me a chance. A chance? Like you gave me? No, you arbitrarily took away my options when you took away my man card. I'm taking it back. I'll be fair with you. I just don't want to be around you. But divorce is something everyone becomes aware of. And they'll ask why. So if you're really so remorseful, perhaps you'll tell them the truth. If they ask me, you can be sure I'll tell them the truth. The divorce went like most. It was contentious over some items, but eventually it ended 50-50ths with the assets and some alimony. Monica walked away with enough to live on comfortably for a few years, but she would have to get a job and lower the standard of living she had become accustomed to. Particularly rough was the reaction from our family. Our kids were upset at the divorce, obviously wanting to know the reasons. I looked at Monica, and to her credit, she told them the truth. I emphasized that they needed to maintain their relationship with her, but still, when you know someone did the unthinkable, you'll always see it when you look at them. Her parents were outraged at her actions. They had been an integral part of our life, close to the grandkids, even going with us on vacations. They knew much of their relationship with us would be forever changed. It certainly would not be the future Monica envisioned. She found a job. It paid okay, but she'd been out of the workforce for so long her skills were out of date. When the home sold, she found a modest apartment. I've no idea if she changed her spending habits or lessened her expenditures. She'd have to be careful if she was going to stretch the assets over the rest of her life. The kind of vacations we had taken are certainly no more for her. And what about the future life we had planned for retirement? Those are nothing more than dreams for her now. One thing that stuck in my craw was that this Brandon character didn't suffer any repercussions. He's free to seduce and charm more and more married women, potentially destroying more and more marriages. Some severe negative fallout should have been levied against him as well. So it was serendipitous one Saturday night, on a moonless night in the dark, created by all those oak trees in his neighborhood, that he took a beating that messed up his pretty face. There weren't any words said or people to identify him. He just had to take his beating. In the end, Monica was disheartened that her life took a big step back from comfort and ease. But she never really had a lot of true remorse, did she? Even throughout the divorce process, did she ever say that she actually loved me? Remembering back to my conversation with my client, I thought I'd be able to handle such circumstances better than others. I did handle the details quite well, in my opinion. But I wasn't really prepared for the emotions I'd have to deal with. Plenty of questions remain to be answered that will never have a satisfying answer. I've become suspicious of relationships and have a lack of trust. Believe it or not, I'm lonely and don't like that feeling. Sometimes when I feel sorry for myself, I wonder if it would be better to be in a bad relationship rather than no relationship. I know that's false reasoning, but we're talking emotions here. I found a condo in a better part of town and re-established my commission payouts. Work has gone quite well since it's a place to focus my mind. Clients are finding me even more understanding of their family issues. My credibility actually increased, as did my commissions. It took 2 years for me to hit bottom emotionally, letting everything go through the stages of grief. We're all humans, so we all have to go through the process. No shortcuts. Now that I'm on the other side, it's easier to meet other women. Most are divorced. Those that aren't are questionable. There are difficult individuals out there as well. The conversation always goes to why each of us are divorced. Depressing conversations, but necessary. Some around my age still have kids at home, which puts a hedge around a possible relationship. But at least I'm in good physical shape and look okay and dress nicely. That goes over well. I've been on a number of dates. Nothing special, nothing to report. I just like being with other women for conversation and companionship. I'm getting better at the dating conversation, but it's sure weird getting started again on the dating scene. Whoever thought they'd have to do that again? Once I ran into Monica as my date, and I valet parked my car in front of a restaurant. Awkward. Yep. We didn't know what to say to each other, so I just took my date's hand and walked straight into the restaurant. Inwardly, I had mixed feelings, a sort of revenge feeling of Monica seeing me with another woman, but also sadness when those 20 years of memory swelled in my mind. Looking back on my marriage and how loving it was at one time, it's truly sad to see how it was thrown away due to the selfish actions of infidelity. It's a great reminder of how a loving couple's life can be destroyed over a piece of physical outer. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.